Hello and welcome to the Sunbirdcrochet podcast. My name is Claudia and I'm coming to you from Germany. This is a podcast about crochet, knitting, lately also doll houses, and building a community and making friends. And I'm running this for 2.5 years now. We are on episode 67, and thank you for coming back or watching me for the first time. So let's start right away with what I'm wearing. This is the Dotty Lace top, a pattern by Elena Fedotova, and it was a free pattern in Crochet Now magazine issue 31. If you are a Readly app user, then you can go back to issue 31 because Crochet Now is included in the app. And this is not sponsored by Readly, by the way. But I think it's a lovely top, except you have to like boat necks and you have to be built rather square, because once you reach the point of separating for the sleeves, it just goes straight down and it doesn't tell you how to increase in pattern. So what I did is that I just continued not in this lace pattern, but in just like this, you know. The advantage of this is that my belly is not exposed. Always a good point. Okay, so that's what I'm wearing, but let's talk about that there in the background. This is my one finished object today. It's also crochet, even though you might think, okay, Claudia, but that looks like knitting. No, it's not, it's crochet. The pattern I was using is, however, a knitting pattern or a chart. This is the Jupiter Crop knitting pattern by Caitlin Hunter, who's born at Knitworks. And I've bought the pattern and used the chart, that section here, for crochet color work. And then lately I extended this here, the body, because I always like my sweaters to reach over my hip, or at least on my hip bone. And I've changed the sleeves, the cuffs, and the neckline. So this is now finished. I'm going to show you a close-up now. So here we have the crab stitch border at the neckline. This is the center single crochet color work. This is the moss stitch extension and another crab stitch border at the bottom. And the sleeves are extended single crochet and a crab stitch border again. I hope you enjoyed this colorwork sweater. This won't be my last crochet colorwork sweater. I think a lot of people would actually like to crochet colorwork as well, and maybe we're going to create a crochet one, right? One of these days. Now, works in progress. I've got quite a couple of works in progresses, but this one is new. So let me just show you the new one, right? Because you've seen the others plenty of times. So I've started to make the Marigold Desert throw. This is a pattern by the Floral Hook. It's a paid for pattern, but you don't pay much. I mean, it's like €2 something. Usually her patterns are, you don't have to pay much for her patterns, but what you get is a load, and I mean this in a good way. She is writing patterns in sections and she's publishing them in sections, and she's also showing you video tutorials for every single step, every single row, where to put your stitches, where to start, where to end, everything, including color choices and a bit of life advice. I believe that she had comments that she's talking too much during her videos. I don't find that. I actually enjoy it. It feels like we're sitting together and we're just chatting, even though I'm the quiet one and she's telling me how to do this, and she is also explaining her thoughts, why she made changes to her pattern from her first version to the current version and things like that. Maybe you hear her talk in the background or something. Anyhow, I've started this throw. This is the beginning. Rather unusually, I'm not using cotton yarn or acrylic yarn as you do for blankets. I've been using 2 strands of Holst yarn held together using a 4mm crochet hook, because my idea was to extend this throw, or rather not to make a throw, but to extend this into a cardigan. This would be like for the panel on the back. However, I'm not sure anymore. Should I wear such flowery things? I will. At the moment this is a round shape, but the next step is taking it back to a square shape, and maybe I will keep it square and then make the rest for the cardigan and join it with the slip stitches or sew it together or something. So, however, this is the Marigold Throw by Jen Tyler, who is the Floral Hook. I'm enjoying the process. The thing is, I just don't know what to do with it when it's finished, because it is rather a lot. Also, maybe just one color or 1 or 2 would be better if I wanted to use it as a garment. Although it can be a rustic folklore cardi. Yeah, we will see. So that's my whip, my new one, on the hook at the moment. All the others are taking a summer break. Although I have ideas to start at least 2 new projects, but more about this in a moment. Let's chat. I've made notes in my big journal, where I write in everything, by the way, including my what to pack list for Brugge and the colors I'm using for my Marigold Desert project, as well as adding little collages and little sayings and poems which I find and I don't want to lose them, so I write them in here. Even recipes. Like here, there is a hot cross bun recipe, and next to it make time for what you love. Or there's an image of Queen Victoria and Prince Albert riding along and seeing a llama. Next to it, if you get tired, learn to rest, not to quit. Courage is knowing it might hurt and doing it anyway. Stupidity is the same, and that's why life is hard. But back to the chat. I wanted to tell you that tomorrow is Friday, what's it tomorrow? Let me think. The 9th, yes, Friday the 9th of June at 7 p.m. South African time, which is 7 p.m. German time as well, 6 p.m. UK time. And I have no clue what time it will be in Australia and America. If you have UK time, 6 p.m. UK time and 7 p.m. South Africa and Germany, then Google it. So at that time, Mariette, who is the Buffalo, is having her Crafty Stitches craft night, and it's a chat night. We are going to meet on Google Meet. If you want to join us, then go to her Instagram account, Die Buffalo, and there send her a direct message and she will give you the link to the meeting. I try to be there when she has her craft nights because it's always lots of fun. We are a small group. Well, last time we were just 3 or 4. So it's cozy and you have time to really talk about your projects. Everyone can put something in, throw something in, and yeah, just nice chatting. So come and join us if you want to. This is run by Mariette, not by me, but I'm grateful that she does have these craft nights. So much fun. And talking about the craft and yarn community, let me tell you about a couple of CALs, crochet alongs. So Crochet Luna, who's Claudia, and Crochet Cakes, who's Elizabeth. The two are running the Summer of Romance CAL 23. It starts on the 11th of June, which is this Sunday, and it runs until the 13th of August. And this year's theme is romance couples who have, well, science fiction romance couples. Let me say it like this. And they made it clear during a live, which you can rewatch on their YouTube channel. They made clear the difference between fantasy and science fiction. Science fiction, and I totally agree with you, Claudia. Not me, Claudia, I'm not talking to myself. Claudia, Crochet Luna. Science fiction involves some sort of science, possibly in the future, and aliens, cosmos, stars, maybe time travel, maybe some chemical accident, and then they are turned into something other, and although that kind of already moves into the horror genre. So science fiction has to do with space travel and the future and scientific discoveries which might turn wrong. So yeah, these kind of things. Think my couple, Lilu and Corbin Dallas from The Fifth Element. Haven't decided on the project yet, but I do have my couple. And yeah, think Waterworld, Mad Max. I mean, these are old movies. Think The Time Machine. Think Star Wars, obviously, Star Trek, think all kind of movies. I mean, Clarissa have mentioned WALL-E. Yes, WALL-E, why not? So you pick a romance couple from science fiction genre, either books, literature, or movies, TV series. That's basically, I think, it. You could also pick romance couple from computer games or something like that if they exist. So yes. And yeah, you make a project, and there will be a group on Ravelry, and there is the hashtag SRCal23 on Instagram. And as I said, it will start this Sunday on the 11th, and it will run until the 13th of August. And post your whips to participate, chat, have fun, and make your own interpretation of a theme. Yeah. So that's vertical. Then yesterday I watched the live of the Grocery Girls, and they mentioned that they're going to run a cal. They call it a knit along, even though they ask you to do crochet. So it's a crochet along, but yeah, never mind the small details. They are going to run the Hot Granny Square Summer, and you as a knitter are encouraged to start crocheting. There are plenty of crochet tutorials, and the granny stitch is one of the easiest, I would say, because you don't actually have to find the stitches, where to work into each stitch. You work between a bunch of free stitches, so it's very easy to find the gap. That's the original granny square. They did show some patterns which they wanted to suggest to you. Some of them weren't granny stitches, weren't granny squares, but it's all for the fun. So just crochet a square or a hexagon, or it doesn't have to be granny stitch, I suppose, to fall under the category of Hot Granny Square Summer. So just join. They have also, I think, a group for that, or they will have for that on Ravelry, and I'm not sure about the hashtag, possibly Hot Granny Square Summer hashtag Hot Granny Square Summer. I will link their live video down below, which you can rewatch as well. Then I also watched Anne and Carlos sit and knit for a bit, and they were talking about starting a new series of episodes, because where they are living in Norway, it gets the light is they don't have a midnight sun where they're living, but it gets light very early, like in the middle of the night really. So birds start singing, and then they can't keep sleeping, and they get up in their PJs and they go into their garden, and they're going to start an early garden series where they might still be wearing their pajamas. Sounds like fun, right? They even talked about they have this grass cutter, lawnmower, the electric ones, where you have a wire run through the ground, and it just runs around and cuts your grass. And they have it has a name. I'm not sure if it's Kevin, but he has like a paper doll stuck on top, so it looks like a paper man is doing the lawn mowing through their garden. Hilarious. And they're thinking about putting on a pajama on him as well. So let's see if that happens. That's Anne and Carlos. And let me just tell you a couple of news and shout outs. Hooked on Art has posted her second episode. Go and watch her. She has lots of knitting and crochet content, and she's from South Africa, and she's doing all kinds of wonderful projects, so go and have a look. when Michelle, who is Dora Does here on YouTube, is on week 8 of her Any Yarn Crochet Along. I can't remember how long it will run, but you can catch the next live. She's giving live videos on her YouTube channel for each week. And the next will be this Friday at 5 p.m. German time. That's 4 p.m. UK time. So you see, you could just watch her live and then immediately go over into Google Meet to join the craft night, Crafty Stitches craft night, right? A full program on Friday. And what else? Yeah, I told you about the Crafty Stitches craft night. And there's the global hookup this weekend too, on the 10th at 8 p.m. UK time, 9 p.m. German time. And on Sunday, it's 9 a.m. UK time and 10 a.m. my time. Times! So, what else? Plenty of things happened non-yarn related. I've turned 50. Scottish bagpipe has happened. And I spent a couple of days in Brugge in Belgium. So where do I start? Possibly with my birthday. Had a lovely birthday. We were 16 people. One fell ill, so one less person than I had planned with, but no problem there. We went for a lovely 3-course dinner and the food was excellent. Everyone had fun. And once we were finished with our very sophisticated meal, we drove to my place here and we spent the rest of the day in the garden. I had 4 cakes. One was a Black Forest Gâteau, Schwarzwälder Kirschtorte, and then there was an apple cake with cream, baiser cream on top. Another, oh, and white wine was in the cream. Yummy. And then there was a cheesecake, a fresh cheesecake with mandarinen. And what else was there? 1, 2, 3. There was a baked nut cake with chocolate glazing. And was that all? Can't remember. 4 cakes. Yeah, that's 4 cakes, right? I still have some left of a nut cake. It's in the freezer because I had so much left. So much left over. We ate cake for 3 days. Yeah, and then it was time for me to pack my bags, or bag, a small travel bag, because I spent 3 nights in Brugge, in Belgium, which is called the Venice of Belgium, Venice of the North, kind of. It has lots of waterways. It had its peak in the Middle Ages, in the 14th century, and back then it had I think about 40,000 inhabitants. Nowadays it's about 20,000. So not so many people who live there, which makes it nice and cozy in the evenings, but so many day visitors. And you have to be careful that you're not getting run over by either horse carriages carrying the tourists. Yes, we did that as well. Or bikes, or other people just walking around. I mean, it was hectic during the day. School classes, excursion groups, you name it. They were all gathering in Brugge. It's a lovely place, and it was such a lovely time we spent there. We stayed in a 4-star hotel. I had made the booking with booking.com. It was so easy. It was Duke's Academie, if you ever want to go there. There were plenty of other hotel guests from the UK, judging from what was being talked about during breakfast. Yeah, very nice hotel. Yeah, but Brugge itself, on the first day we walked from our hotel to Minnewater. That's a lake nearby next to the Benedictines monastery, and it has so many swans there. They're living there permanently. They even have little shelters made of natural twigs, and they get fed there. You're not supposed to, or you're not even allowed to feed them. And you can go to the monastery. I didn't see any nuns there, but it was very quiet, and you know, there are signs everywhere to keep you silent, to be silent, and the wind was in the trees. It was very peaceful and lovely, and you can see the old houses of the nuns, and there were a couple of young folks who were sitting on the cobblestones just drawing the old houses. I don't know if they belonged in a group or if they are art students who came there to practice their drawing skills, but it was very atmospheric there. And you can only reach that. They are on an island, so to say, in the middle of a city, surrounded with waterways. So you walk over this bridge. I think there's also another bridge on the other end of the island, but we used that bridge, and it has a gateway. It says 1700 and something. So yeah, and very peaceful there, very, very lovely. It's also the Minnewater, the lake is also where the horse carriages take a short break of 5 minutes when they are taking their visitors around. Yeah, so we first went from our hotel on foot to the marketplace, which took us like quite a long time because we were taking so many breaks in between. And on the marketplace we had lunch, then we took a horse carriage ride, which led us back to our hotel, and then on the second leg of a horse carriage journey we were driven back to the marketplace, and we saw many of the sites. She told us, the driver, she told us about the history. It wasn't always easy to understand her because she was obviously facing the driving direction and talking to us in the back, but yeah, I took lots of videos each day, and I cut it all down to 3 videos which are already uploaded, so you probably watched it already, and if not, then just check my channel and there should be 3 episodes, day 1, day 2 and day 3. So that was day 1. On day 2 we just walked around on foot, and we ended up at the fish market, and there were some fish being sold, but what I bought was a big painting, an original artwork, and it's now hanging on my wall. Let me show to you right now. So that is by an artist who lives in Brugge, and I fell in love with his painting. Although I must be honest and say, originally I had seen a painting from afar which was of this bridge to the monastery or nunnery, and I liked the technique. He had made a first painting coat in rusty orange, and then he painted the bridge and the gateway to the nunnery or monastery, and he left some parts uncovered so that the original rusty orange shined through, and that gave such a lovely, like a warm light to the painting. And I originally wanted to buy this, but then the colors wouldn't have really gone with anything here in my flat. So I saw another painting and I fell in love with that one. I actually found the place where he must have stood and painted this painting. On it you see the oldest bridge of Brugge from the 11th century, I believe. And on the left is a building, and there is a red and white flag wrapped around the flagpole from the wind or by the wind. And the building actually houses some kind of art community, if I understood the tourist guide correctly. But I'm going ahead with this one. Anyway, I bought a painting, an original painting, so it's quite huge. So I had to walk all the way back to our hotel to put it there, and then I had to walk all the way back to the fish market, sweating in the hot summer sun. It was really hot on that day, but I was so happy, and I still am. So that was the adventure of the oil painting. It might be acrylics, not sure. Yeah, and just around the corner there was a shop which was selling like lace for the tourists and scarves and cushion covers and things like that. And in their window display they had a dollhouse. I was so excited because, as you know, my new project and passion is completing my own dollhouse. And they had, it looked like to me like they had bought up a Victorian style dollhouse and they placed felted mice in it. They even have their own Instagram account, which is at Tilia_Brugge or Brugge, and I put it up here on the screen, or I will link it down below. And yeah, they are selling these felt mice. And I know now from Anna and Carlos that there is actually the mother of the idea of felted mice in the Netherlands. And she has published a book about these felted mice. And by now, I've ordered a copy of that book in English, and I'm going to show to you in later in incoming. So now, painting, dollhouse on the second day, and we just strolled around and discovered the city, or the city for us, and we saw many sights and just enjoyed also the good food and the lovely weather. And yeah, it was day 2. And on day 3, we went to the boats right away in the morning after breakfast, before all the school classes would arrive. And the boat obviously was full, but more like tourists like us. Oh, did I mention I went there with my mother? Yeah, so we took a boat trip, which was very interesting. It costs 12 euros per person. The horse carriage on the first day cost us 60 euros for the carriage, 35 minutes drive. Well, 30 minutes drive, 5 minutes break. Anyhow, boat trip, 12 euros per person. And we sat on the boat. In the boat, they have 25 boats in total in Brugge, of which I believe 8 are electric run by electricity, and this was one of them, which means it doesn't stink and it's very quiet, and you just sit on the boat and the driver tells you about the sights on the left and the right and everywhere in the history, and you can just enjoy the flowing water. And yeah, go and check out my video of day 3 to see that boat trip. He was quite cheeky, that young man. He was making jokes about all the rich people living near the waterways. And yeah, but very enjoyable, that boat trip. And after that boat trip, we went to the fish market again, and there was on that day another artist, a textile artist from Latvia. He was weaving linen scarves, or he was weaving the linen cloth, and his wife was selling the scarves. And I was so brave to actually start talking to him about, I asked him how old his loom was, and he said it's between 80 and 100 years old. And that's because he is gathering the pieces of different old weaving looms and he puts them back together. In Latvia you can still find these looms, and he wants to save them, so he's collecting the pieces. Otherwise people would throw them and burn them. So yeah, I think he was very pleased that someone was actually talking to him instead of just filming him. I also asked him if I could film him, so he said yes. He actually has his own YouTube account, so I will link him down below. And I asked him if he is also dyeing his linen himself. He said no, he buys it on cones, and then he weaves the scarves. And he told me that once he has woven the scarves, the cloth gets put into water, soaked in water for 3 days, and then they crush the fabric so that it's softer. And yeah, so I had a lovely chat with him, and his name is, I think, Jan Rosendals, if it was on the scarf. We bought one of his scarves for my sister, and she loves wearing it. It's perfect. You have something to protect your neck, but at the same time it's not heating you up in summer. Linen is very cool to the skin. Perfect. Yeah, and after that we went to just down the street into another direction, and we discovered a wonderful music shop. They were selling music instruments, but also CDs and records, and it was a lovely, the shop itself was antique, with huge Art Deco doors, or even older than Art Deco, like romantic glass, colorful glass door. The ceilings were very high, like double the normal room size, and in the back were more rooms, or salles as they say in French. And I believe in former times they were repairing pianos, but now you can buy CDs and records and musical instruments and busts of composers. And yeah, it was just so beautiful, the whole shop. I asked the person at the till if I could take video, and she said yes, of course. So go to day 3 of my video and have a look at this wonderful music shop. And then further down the road, a little bit to the left, was an antiques shop. It's called Adesso Antiques and Vintage, and I believe they have a website. I have to look it up, and I will link it down below. And the whole shop was full with different stuffs, very quirky things and unusual things, and also dollhouses. And she told me that they were being sold on commission, as they were, like a whole dollhouse, including interior, except one which of which they were selling the interior like in separate pieces if you wanted. So I was looking at the time for a kettle, a tea kettle, a copper kettle, and they had one, but the lid was missing, and that's what I'm talking about in the video. She wanted 7 euros for the kettle without a lid, so I said no thank you. But it was very inspiring to see these old doll houses. The person who owns them, he has many more doll houses, she told me, and he's now saying, separating, well, selling some of them. His heart must bleed, I can tell you. You can see how much effort and time he put into these doll houses. And yeah, so that was a wonderful, wonderful shop for me. And just walking around there was already an adventure. I'm not sure how much she sells actually, but the shop was very nice. If you are into antiques and vintage, you must have a look there if you go to Brugge. And just a little bit further down the road, on the opposite side of the road, there was a very, very peculiar shop. It was a taxidermy shop with antiques as well. And I didn't want to even go in first, and then I thought, oh, why not? It's something very unusual. So we went in, and it wasn't like an old shop run by freaky people. They were like quite young people still, and they had painted the walls in a very nice brownish gray, which made the colors, it suited the taxidermy very well, let me say it like this. And the taxidermy means that you stuff animals, dead animals, right? So they had stuffed animals, they had bugs in resin, they had a bed in a frame, like a dried up flattened bed in a frame, and they had a stuffed budgies, and also old dolls. And what really freaked me out, they had several rooms. You went further into the back of the house, and there was the first room. It had a horse head on the wall, and it totally freaked me out. It was like dominating the whole room because it was such a huge horse, and I couldn't stop looking at it. It felt like, well, it wasn't watching me, but I was a little bit freaked out by it. And there were other like deer and really huge animals. If you have a neck, the whole neck and the head of a huge animal stuffed hanging on the wall, I find this rather disturbing. So I did have a look through all the rooms, and I liked the dark color of the walls, and they actually had prints of old fashion newspapers, you know, dresses with bustles, Victorian dresses, evening gowns, these kind of things, which were really lovely. But everywhere these stuffed animals and bugs, and the freakiest were 2 garden gnomes locked up in a glass cage. Actually, I think it was a lantern, but yeah. So that was a very interesting shop, but I didn't buy anything there. So that was day 3, and we walked around, and every day we went to the Minnesota lake and watched the swans, and we bought so much chocolate there. There are so many chocolate and marzipan shops, I can tell you, every 5 meters or so. That's how it felt. And if it's not one of those shops, then it's a shop selling you lace or gobelin. Yeah. Let's close my book, and then I'm just going to show you all the incoming right? My first purchase was a bookmark, a lace bookmark with cats and balls of yarn. And I think this one is actually mass produced, but I went to some of these lace shops and they had antique lace in frames on the wall, and I took some footage of that. So just check my videos of Brugge. Then in the shop near the fish market where I saw the first dollhouse, they also had animal brooches, amongst other things. And this one is from the UK. I think I saw it on Instagram as advertisements for it. Fable. Maybe you know this brand. On the back it says, "Everyone has a story, inspired by the heritage of storytelling and vintage charms. The Fable Jewelry Collection celebrates our glorious British countryside, all the wondrous creatures and delicate flowers that thrive within. Collect your favorite, share with loved ones, create your own story." So let me take this out. Oh, it actually comes in a little bag. And with care instructions. So this was a gift to me, and it's quite heavy because it's animal. Not an animal, but an animal. And it's a little barn owl. I will take a photo and put it up here so that you can see the colors better. So very beautiful. I love it. Fancy that, buying something from the UK in Brugge. Well, then I bought the oil painting / acrylic painting, which I've already shown you. And then here from home, I bought the Mouse Dollhouse book in English, which I've seen on the channel Anne and Carlos. So let me show it to you. I've bought this as a second-hand book. It's called The Mouse Mansion by Karina Schartmann. And what I didn't realize was that it's actually a children's book. Author and artist Karina Schartmann spent years building and furnishing the Mouse Mansion, in which this collection of stories takes place. She has her own YouTube channel, and I already checked her up. She's building her house using cardboard, but this is just a glimpse into the dollhouse. And the actual dollhouse, you can visit it in her shop, I believe. This book is published originally, was it published in Netherlands in 2011. This is the size of it. She added rooms, one after another, right? And it's really quirky, and she's telling stories for children. Like this one, she has her two main mice, and in this picture here, they are actually making pancakes, and one of the pancakes must have landed on top of the head of a little mice, of a little mouse boy. There you go. Stories for children. But you can find many things for normal other dollhouse in here as well, like this one here, like a kitchen sink and things like that. So I really enjoy this. It gives me ideas what to put into my dollhouse. And I actually have some of these things in my dollhouse, like this lamp here. That's in, I have 2 of these, and that chessboard, it's magnetic, and I was looking at buying this, but I'm actually running out of space in my own dollhouse already. And she's making lots of her furniture and bedding and carpets and things on her own, herself. So she even makes her little mice herself. And I think it's very quirky and very lovely. So I recommend this. I would actually recommend the tradition of making doll houses yourself, furnishing them and gifting them to your grandchildren or to your children, and just having fun with doll houses, like a miniature world. The world is your oyster. Create your own theme, modern or historical, and think about who's going to live in your dollhouse. Is it going to be felted mice? Is it going to be porcelain dolls? Or whoever's going to live in there? You decide. It's your house. And without further ado, let me give you an update of my dollhouse. So this is my finished, built together house. It's not painted yet, yes, but I assembled it. So let's open it. There you go. And shall I give you an update of the rooms? Let's start with this room here. That's the bathroom. I've added some, you see the plant which I built or made. I posted a tutorial about it, or rather like a time lapse. And I've got towels for a towel rail, and I've got a little sponge, slippers, and some bathing ducks, rubber ducks. So that's the bathroom. Then I actually moved around the rooms a little bit. The cat is now in the sitting room. We have the portraits here up on the wall, which I've made myself. And there are peaches in the bowl. I've got this sofa. I've got it now 3 times, oh actually 2 of these, and a slightly bigger version in the study. So that's the sitting room, including glassware in the cupboard. Now this is the dining room. She's teaching the dog a little trick, how to give paw. And there's a new carpet in there. And we're having cake. And I still have to fill the cupboard there, but yeah, that's the dining room. Then we have the bedroom. She has a little handbag there. There's a mug with tea. There's a bunch of flowers in a vase. Back there is actually a portrait of one of my grandmothers. I made it in miniature. And there's the floral armchair with some parcels and a brass gramophone. There's still a carpet missing and there are no wallpapers in the bedroom yet. This is the study. Again, I moved things around a little bit. There's the cricket stand there. The two paintings which I've made. The newspaper he's reading. The tiger rug I've made. And that's my new purchase. This sofa with cushions and a little side table with books. Yeah. So that's the study. And this is the kitchen. Currently the stove isn't in because I've bought another stove. I hope it's not too big. We will see how it goes. So there is Flora, would you move a little bit? Thank you. So there you go. The bread has to go into that oven. There's the rest of the cake. There are pots and pans, and there's food on the table, bread, apple. In the background is a platter, and yeah, so that's the kitchen. I will put the bear in the hallway. And actually I've repainted all the staircases and I've ordered some jacquard ribbons, which will be the stair runners. This one here I will show you at the end, because this doesn't actually belong in a dollhouse. I have a little problem because this isn't closing up to this here. There is still some space, but maybe it's supposed to be like that. I can't see what I could have possibly done wrong with the assembly. So this is actually another level. And as you can see, the guys are playing cards. The guys are playing cards. There are books in the bookcase back there. There are two fireplaces. There is a bench. There is a piano. The dressmaker's room, or maybe it's the daughter's room or the governor's room. I'm not sure yet. We have the sewing machine here. We have a little teddy on the bed. There is another photo of one of my grandmothers actually. And there is one of these, what do you call them? So this is the little attic room. Lots and lots and lots to do still. And with this, I'm going to say thank you for watching. I'm going to see you soon again with more yarn content. And thank you for indulging my dollhouse project. Keep well, keep safe, and maybe I see you on Friday during the craft night or on the Zoom meeting of a crochet clan this weekend. Bye!